What's going on, guys? We covering the King's Indian knockout, a KO that I played against this international master. I was able to beat him with the King's Indian defense in the first round of the Super Norm Swiss, or the Norm Super Swiss, in Charlotte about a month ago. Let's get to it. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We about to get to work, guys. I'm going to Portugal tomorrow, so we got videos to drop for you guys as a surprise here to give you guys some content while we're out. We still will be streaming on the channel. Make sure you guys are there for that. All right, cool. This first round, I'm actually playing black against FIDE Mendiza. He's actually a very strong international master from New York. His rating here, I think, was 2384 or 94 in this game. Let's take a look at what happened. So we have d4, knight f6, c4, g6. Regular stuff, right? Knight c3, bishop g7. In my prep, I didn't know which King's Indian he was going to go for. He went for the natural stuff, e4, the same stuff we would always go for. d6, after the d6 move, there was bishop e2. So with bishop e2, a lot of times it can signal that they want to go bishop e3 next, and an early h4, and a lot of g4s here, right? So what I do is I castle anyway. I go e5. I will go knight a6 to c5 very quickly, play a5 to stop a potential b4, play c6 ourselves, and then maybe holding on the capture. I actually have a game that I lost against Pepe Quinta, which you'll be able to see in the King's Indian playlist, as we'll link it. But you need to understand all the plans and ideas of the opening you're going to play. So bishop e2, very combative. They do want to go castle queenside, or it can also transpose into something else. So I castle, see what he does. He goes knight f3. I'm like, oh, okay, so he mixed up the move order a little bit differently. You know, maybe he'll go bishop e3 anyway, but then now it's a little bit different. This is not, of course, the bishop e2 or bishop e2, bishop e3 lines anymore. So I go e5, natural move here. He could go for the exchange variation, which is really dull, my guy. Like, bruh. Nobody wants to play against this variation. I'm just going to be honest with you. Because after pawn takes, right, pawn takes is just the life is kind of sucked out of the King's Indian players here. Like, I mean, it's because you wanted something combative. You got this, right? So at the same time, though, it's very equal and it's fine here. And a quick trick here for people watching, especially if you're low rated and don't understand why can't he take the pawn. He can, but we can take on e4. Knight takes e4 with the bishop revealing and taking the knight there. After knight takes knight, we obviously are going to take back and do the same thing. So, all right, let's go back. This didn't happen. I was glad it didn't happen. He goes bishop e3, and now this is what they call the Gligorich variation, or Gligoric. You know, I always would say it. I think I heard it from Daniel Naroditsky. Shout out to Danya, my twin brother. The Gligoric rich system is what it is. So with this bishop e3 here, a lot of times they do want to provoke us to go knight g4, where in turn they're going to play bishop to g5 or h4, or bishop g5 after an f6. There could be a bishop h4, or they go back to bishop d2, or sometimes c1. It's really up to white on what they want to do there, but that's just how it happens. After bishop e3, I actually have a game I lost OTB once before from taking e takes d4, which just completely equalizes immediately, but it's a little bit dull. It also happens where they get f3 in, like for instance takes theory goes rook e8, hits the pawn, castles, sorry, f3 here, castles, and then you would go now f3 c6, trying to play d5, bishop f2. This is the strongest line, and this is the one that will give problems to black if you don't know what you're doing. Right after d5, pawn takes, you know, takes, and a lot of times they can take it, but I think c5 is a move at some point. Even castling, maybe castling now. You can release the tension, or you can play knight c6, but white has some type of slight edge, nagging part. You also have this this pawn to deal with, which is weak, so it's kind of annoying. I didn't really like this variation that much. I have some wins online, but OTB, I wanted to go the OTB route, and of course the best way to play, which is knight to g4, right? Knight g4 for the score, hitting, splitting. Okay, we're going to attack this bishop, make him do something, open up our bishop at the same time. We want plans with f6 and f5 to happen. So still theory. So, okay, bishop to g5. We mentioned f6 before, pretty natural. I honestly did not remember the theory after bishop h4. I was like, what happens on bishop h4? I just don't remember. But we're gonna, you know, go off the head here, go off our King's Indian, and we beat our first GM over the board with the KID. We good. We gonna figure this out. But he didn't go bishop h4. There's also bishop d2 and bishop c1. He chose bishop to c1. Cool with that one. Everybody clap it up like, all right. You know, at least we looked at this one. Like, we know what to do here. We know what to do. Now, of course, it's on you guys. Pause the video. Okay, what do you actually do in this position? It is black to move. What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do, guys? So, what is the move, guys? What is the move? The move here is, in fact, I'm like, let me tell you something. So I was feeling good about theory here. I'm like, oh, I know this. I know exactly what to do. So what I did was e takes d4, knight takes, and f5. Now we're going to backtrack here. Right here, I was actually super confident that this was the theory, but it's not. It's not the theory, bro. I'm supposed to play knight to c6, in fact. Actually, after bishop c1, I'm supposed to go knight c6, which I looked at later. I was like, oh, snap. Like, I mean, I wasn't in trouble or anything, but I remembered it being takes and f5 at some point. I thought it was now, which the engine approves, but it's just not the theory. Kind of maybe threw him off too. E takes d4, knight takes d4, and we go f5. f5, very strong move here because the knight can is obviously defended twice now. We open up the bishop. We also have, sacking possibilities like knight takes. F2 is in here. Like, for instance, if he takes, e takes f5, we have this shot here. Boom! Ooh-wee! Yeah! Tactics! Yeah! Knight takes f2, right, which is really nice. And then the idea here is obviously after king takes, and then queen h4 check, and we pick up the knight afterwards. After a g3, we can take with the queen takes, and I mean, material gets even here. I mean, I think even bishop e3 is a move, right? Maybe we take here, damage the structure, and you get to a position like this, which I calculated. COE, baby. COE, absolutely. ShopCantyMerch.com. But after that, after bishop takes f5, I mean, this position is just better for black. You got damage structure here. We do have the same amount of pawns. Wait, am I up a pawn? 3, 6, 3, 4, 5. For some reason, I thought it was the same amount of pawns, but I am up a pawn here. But he has the bishop pair. I mean, I'm taking black all day to say the least, right? So it feels really, really good. Obviously, saw this line. He didn't take it. He went for f3, which I was like, that's got to be wrong. That's got to be wrong. Now, this is up to you. Pause the video. Where do we put this knight? Or do we move the knight? That's up to you to tell us, to tell me, to do what you got to do. Where do you move the knight, or where do you move right now, black to move? The move here actually is, I thought not a while, but I definitely took some time because I looked at knight h6. I looked at knight f6, obviously. And then this one I just ruled out immediately because I'm like, I just don't want to go back, allow this ISO pawn like this. I mean, it's just not cool to have that. Knight h6, I'm going to have to reroute it anyway. So the right move was knight to e5. I put the knight on e5, right? It's a central knight. I'm going to go knight c6 at some point. But then he goes f4. So he like moved the knight again. This was a move I was not expecting. But it is up to you now, black to move. What do we do in this position after f4? Where do you move the knight? Or do you move the knight? The move here is knight e to c6. Now, let's count. How many times has this knight moved? We had 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the opening. And actually, the engine says black is slightly better. Slightly better. Even though we moved this knight 15 times. After knight e to c6, there's knight f3, right? So he goes back because he doesn't want to trade. And obviously, he said, oh, all right, this knight was this on g8. Could have got there in 2 moves, but it got there in like 5. So 4 to 5. So knight f3, he goes back. All right, cool. I'm like, I take this time to develop in King's Indian. Also, just any opening, period. Doesn't matter what the opening is. One of the big things you need to understand is development. Get the pieces off the back rank. That is exactly what I needed to do. So I played knight h6 with the idea of what? Where is the knight going? Where is this knight going, right? c5. c5, this is common anyway. I have some queenside pressure. I want knight takes e4 at some point. It just feels really good to have the knight on a6. He castles, I immediately go knight to c5. I'm feeling really good here. It's like a, not the King's Indian you would be used to. This is a very positional one, which in a way, of course, it's a very strategic, rich, positional, and aggressive opening. King's Indian, that is. Because a lot of times positions can be closed where you have to maneuver and be careful where you maneuver your pieces. The positions require you to actually take some time and some patience, and they can be very positional. So this was not very aggressive. This was just more of a positional grind. Got the pieces in the center. My bishop looks great, compared to his. Like black, it's just for choice. So he takes. I take back with the bishop, and now look at my pieces. Feeling nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look at the pieces. We feeling good. So I'm like, yo, I can't lose this one. I mean, that's how you feel. You definitely can lose it. It can't happen. But he goes bishop e3 with the idea of develop the pieces, right? I go rook e8, which the engine deems as an inaccuracy. They said you should have gave up your bishop on c3. The best move is bishop takes c3. Bruh. I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. Giving and weakening all the dark squares. But it's the engine, right? So, of course, bishop e3, rook to e8. I'm going to keep the bishop until I want to take it to the knight. there. So bishop f2, he goes back, which you would see anyway in these Gligorich variations when you take on d4 quite early. So the bishop goes back to f2, and now I needed to create some things. I wanted to make some things happen here. Engine gives 3 separate choices. I'm going to see what you're going to play here with black, and I'll tell you what my choice is and my ideas here. I am a fan of initiative. Is black to move? What do you play in this position? Okay, guys, the move we chose here actually was knight to b4. So the engine gave queen e7, like bishop takes c3 again, bro, come on, and queen f6, which is like, I mean, whatever, like I developed the queen. But I like this knight b4 move because I'm threatening things like immediately knight to c2, which hits the rook, and then I can go knight e3. So then I grab the bishop here for him, and he from him, and he doesn't have the dark square bishop anymore, so the dark squares are eternally weak, so I'll take it back with the rook. I also have ideas of maybe putting a knight on d3. These squares are very weak. My pieces look really good, so I have lots of potential over here. So I go knight to b4, expecting something like knight to d4. He goes queen to d2. Now here I thought for a while here, because I have lots of moves, like do I go knight c2, but then if I go knight c2, where does the knight go after rook to c1? This is a very nice move, stopping my second move from a first move, which is pretty sick. So knight to c2, he goes rook c1, and the knight has to jump back or something, because knight e3 is now taking away. He's also going to kick me at some point, but he has to watch out for knight b3. But I will be kicked at some point. And if I'm kicked and I have to move the knight, there may be a b4 to follow. So with that all being said here, I play a5. Very positional, very strong move here. Stops the b4 push from really ever happening, and if it does, he'll drop a pawn. So a4, he goes knight to d4, hitting the bishop on f5. It's on you now. Where do you go? Black to move. What are we doing? Where do we move next? After knight to d4, where do we move next? Do we allow him to take on f5? Or do we take the knight ourselves so we get rid of it? What is the move? The move I chose in the game was bishop to d3. Very nice move. And of course, this is where all the pieces point. So why not just, trade it, just have a better position. If we go to an endgame, I'm just very active. I feel good. You may have some weaknesses. This bishop is increasing pressure. It's almost like a Catalan bishop, but on the queen side, which is, different here. It's just different. Like, I mean, this would be a Catalan bishop, but I have kind of my own, in fact. So after bishop to d3, he goes rook a to e1. He doesn't want to trade anything at all, right? At this point, okay, cool. I'm waiting for a3 to happen so I can take on e2, put the other knight on d3. I just go queen d7. The idea of just connecting the rooks. Patience, right? Patience is very, very strong to have. Of course, sometimes you do need to pounce immediately, but a lot of times patience can pay off, especially you even see Karpov, who was world champion, obviously former world champ. With the black pieces, he was very, very solid, and he would barely lose, in fact. But he did also draw more games because he was more safer. Like, he would just, make moves like this. Yeah, I could go for the kill, or I could just connect the rooks first, type thing. So queen d7, there was nothing for me to do anyway, so I just connected my rooks and better place my queen and be ready for any action that may happen on the e-file. So he goes a3, kicks the knight away. We already looked at that nice combo, bishop takes. Engine didn't like this. In fact, I actually saw this line here, which is, I think, gives almost +1 here, which was this. Bishop takes d4. If bishop takes d4, which is a nasty move, knight to b3 hits the queen. Only move is queen d1, and then after queen d1, look at this queen trap. Bishop c2. Woo, boy, that's crazy. Bro, your queen trapped. Your queen is trapped, bro. What a, like, that's a sequence right there, big dog. And I'm also hitting, obviously, this too as well, but so bishop d4, he would have to take like on on d3 or something, or take the knight, right? It takes, and then like, this is getting very wild right now. I take back on b4. I have maybe this at some point, but definitely blacks for choice. I also have the a file as well that opened up. Pretty nice. So after queen d7, a3, I chose to take on e2 because I just thought it was more forcing, and I'm going knight d3 regardless. So bishop takes, and I'll go knight d3, and then he tricks me. I mean, in a way, I was just not thinking he was going to play this. He played b4. Bruh. I was like, bro. And he played it quickly, too. I was like, did I, like, blunder or something? Like, I mean, I know this is a free pawn. So I take it once. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Worst case scenario, I could just trade these boys and move this knight. But I was like, okay, you know what? First off, you have to think about why is he giving up the pawn. So if I take this pawn, he's going to rely on some type of initiative. Where is that initiative at? Probably with this move f5. F5 is something, because and this is like some deep thinking. If we do take, there's an f5. After f5, pawn takes, right? Then the bishop moves somewhere, and then he has some pressure down the f-file. My king might feel some of that heat there. It's very, very strange, especially you have to calculate, long lines and deep and accurately here. So b4 was a move. It was like, oh snap, with the f5 intention. So we felt a little pressure here. We like not sweating, but we like, hold on, man, that saber getting kind of close. My guy, we blocking all the hits, like hitting them back, and like we was a little frightened here. We like, all right, hold on, breathe, Jedi, breathe. And I take on b4. He goes f5, and I'm like, here we go. Now, of course, in the King's Indian, things will spice up at some point, and this is that point. It's getting critical. I take on f5. He goes bishop e3, and now this pawn is hanging. Right? He's also going to double here as well. Oh, wee, chat. Oh, wee. It's black to move. What do you do now? Do you just let him take it? Do you push it? That was a move by the engine, by the way, which I actually considered this at some point to play this just to try to, dislodge it, gain the tempo back, tempo meaning time. So after the bishop e3 move, right, I go rook f8. I defend the pawn on f5. Very easy defense. Just defend the pawn, right? Then he goes here. Now I go f4. Pretty cool idea here because I have stuff like, if he takes with the bishop, there's some problems with knight d3. Right, which blocks, one of these knights go there, but it blocks the queen's connection to the knight. Also, like if I just throw it here, the rook's hanging. This is, threatened. It's not hanging, but it's threatened. And there's also this connection here. So there's some problems, some big problems that white is going to have to handle. So after f4, he takes with the rook. Rook takes f4. Boom, I take back on f4. He goes bishop takes f4, bishop takes. I'm like, what? Bishop takes? I'm feeling good. So I go rook f8, pin and win, baby boy. Right, and if you move the bishop somewhere crazy, we're going to take it, play queen f7, and then I can take, for instance, bishop e3, for instance, takes. I can go queen f7 check, and then pick up on c4, and this is going to be a clean one. Another day in the office for the Jedi. So after knight d to e2 played from my opponent, I go knight d3 anyway. He's getting lower on time. I can feel it. I'm doing great on time. He goes queen e3. I go queen f7 to pin, also hitting the c4 pawn. He puts the knight on d5, and I just stop just to look at the check. What does he do after the check? I sidestep. He might have to worry about rook e8 ideas. The back rank is covered. He still can't move the bishop, so I take this time to play c6. d6 is not hanging. Engine didn't like c6. They just wanted knight b2, bro. Now look at this move, chat. They're like, yeah, just c6 is terrible. Just go knight b2. Bruh. Knight b2, bro. Okay, bro. Okay. So I'm gonna go c6. I hit the knight. The knight goes over to b6 here, right, which is a blunder, absolute blunder. But I mean, okay, he's running out of time. I'm putting some pressure on him. My next move is rook e8, which hits the queen. The queen is now attacked behind the knight. Got to be careful. He goes queen f3. I pause. I take some time here, and I find a combo, chat. I find a combo. What's the combo? I need you to find it. I need to see who been doing the tactics here. Take some time. Pause the video if you need to. What is the combination that I played? COE, chat. Put on the COE cap. Put on the COE cap. Put it on. You're going to need it. Here it is. Combo. Boom. Knight takes f4, right? Forcing. You take with the queen, which you can. I mean, queen takes is fine, but after queen takes, I'm just going to trade, which is really easy for me. Winning in game. He takes with the knight, key pieces on the board. Next move is check, right? Nice move. Check. Obviously, attacking the king. King moves out of the way. And now, in calculation, I play knight e4. Hitting the knight. Knight f2 with a back rank problem. If queen g4 check, I just sidestep you. Get out of the way. Have a nice day. No knight g6, I go queen g6, right? Let me just put that on the board here, and then knight g6, trying to expose the queen. But this is OTB chess, not online chess. I am not going to blunder or mouse slip this one. I would just take with the queen. That's me. Get him off the board. That's GG. So, okay, I go knight e4 with the threat of both of these. He hit me with a move, bro. He played knight c8. I was like, yo, what is this? Bro, I definitely stopped and thought. I stopped for a second. I'm like, bro, what is this? I was like, did I miss something? Like, whoa, bro. I mean, what a move. Like, he is really strong. The idea here is after rook takes, right? Queen g4 check. Bruh. Picking up the rook. Like, what? That, man. Like, I was like, yo, did I miss something? Knight c8 was not on my radar at all. But I was looking at this, which is knight f2 check. Very nice. Knight f2 check. Very strong. He actually just takes it. He's running out of time here. I think he was like a minute or less on the clock. He takes on f2. I take back. Now there's a back rank threat. Back rank threat. He goes queen takes f2. And what move did I play here that made the international master resign? KO. KO. What is the move? Black to move, guys. What is it? The move is queen to a1. Absolutely. Queen to a1. You can't even go there. You're like, oh, I saw that. That's exactly. Bruh. Okay. It was actually queen takes f4. In fact, queen takes f4 and the game is over. Queen takes f4 with a queen sack to finish off of this game. Rook e1 is going to be mate after queen takes. Rook e1, queen f1, and mating there, right? Also, I'm threatening, you know, check on the back rank. The knight is hanging. And this is a King's Indian game, a KO, King's Indian Defense, International Master, first round, Super Swiss norm, about a month ago in Charlotte, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. We got more videos for you guys as I'll be in Portugal this week. Be dropping those videos while I'm there. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the sub button. We'll see y'all on the next one.